review the whole thing. Over here, we have this SDLC. So with what has been said over here, the AIS will change, all right? The AIS is inevitable. Did I pronounce correctly? Inevitable. It means it has to change, right? It has to change regardless of any reasons over here. There are more reasons, all right? In the exam, you might be asked this kind of questions, such questions for you to think. And your answer shouldn't just point out the reason. Your reason should be relate back to the process, and it should relate back to the consequences, all right? If they don't evaluate or reevaluate their system. Okay, what are the point and then the consequences of not doing so? The question will be very clear. All of them will be in case study question, all right? So you'll be given a case, and then from there onwards, you have to imagine, all right, the consequences. So over here, SDLC, we have multiple framework, all right, in developing and in analyzing and developing the system. Multiple framework, and one of it is using the SDLC. You know what's framework? Framework is like guideline, right? Guideline like steps. You know, you want to do something, there is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and step 5. And we are using this SDLC as the guideline, all right, for us to analyze and develop your AIS system. So what is SDLC? System development life cycle, all right? Okay, luckily you know, all right? At least luckily you know. System development life cycle. Let me just put over here. System development life cycle, all right? And let me see what over here. What is SDLC, all right? What is SDLC? What is System Development Life Cycle? As I tell you, it's a framework. It's a framework. It's not any other framework, all right? It's a framework for you to use as a guideline, as a procedure for you to evaluate, analyze your current system, and develop the system accordingly, all right, with documentation. And over here we can see that these are the stages, all right, stages of SDLC, all right. We have exactly 5 stages. It can be 7, depending on how you view it, all right. But if you refer to my study kit, I already shared in the e-learning. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed the study kit I shared in the e-learning? If you refer to the study kit is a complete guideline for this course. If you remember all of those study kits, the concept, you will have at least 20%, all right, 20% of answer ready for you already, all right? Maybe another 80% more will be based on your critical thinking and discussion, as I tell you earlier, right? Last week, as I tell you last week. So over here, we have these stages. And today, all right, today we are going into the first stage, which is the system survey and planning. Double N, right? system survey and planning. This is the first stage. You understand where we are right now, right? I'm going to explain to you what are the steps, all right, inside this SDLC. Let me just use the color over here, right? After we do the survey and planning for your system, basically over here is you are just trying to frame your problem, all right? Frame the issues, all right? You're just going to identify what is the issues, and then you're doing your scope on what you're going to do, and then do a very basic kind of preliminary feasibility test, all right? 3 things inside the first stage over here: system, survey, and planning, which we'll discuss later today, all right? Not later today, in the moment, all right, in a moment. Moving from these steps, this is the first steps, all right, over here. You got number 2, got number 3, number 4, and number 5, all right? So the next step is the system. You can see analysis, right? You're right, all right? System analysis, all right? Over here, you will analyze your system as is. ASIS, right? Means the current system, right? What are the systems that they are using, or what are the procedures that they are inside of, all right? Over here, we will learn again, all right? Refresh your mind on the documentation, right? The document flow diagram, all right? You need to draw out the existing process flow and understand it, which part you should tackle, all right? Based on what you have defined earlier, which is in the survey and planning, all right? And this part also, you identify the control and the risk factor that is if you don't do so, all right, as it. And then you have the, what over here, the third one, system. Let me just use another color. System, what is it? The design, right? Design, you got the blueprint, right? You're gonna design, right? What is the 2P system, all right? System design is very critical in the stage when you want to develop your software or your solution, okay? It is the most critical. If you don't do it correctly, you will end up designing something that is not working, all right? There are stages inside this as well. Stages, like there are steps to be highlighted. And you got the system, which system, you got the implementation, right? System, implementation. Is it correct? This is where you implement the system. By how, all right? First, you need to create the prototype itself, all right? And you need to test the system. Over here, in the lab session, all right, in the lab, I already start with this already, all right? But we don't, it's not based on your assignment, your project, right? Your project is the one that you're going to think by yourself. What over here, what in the lab is, I'm just giving you the platform, all right? Showing you guiding you to the platform for you to use to build your solution, all right? But in this stage later, all right, we will look into detail how to do the implementation. And over here is the documentation as well. You need to document how the system can be used, all right, for the user. And finally, we land ourselves on the system. Actually, it's post-implementation, right? But I like the system, so I put all system over here. It's a post-implementation, right? The post-implementation. Post-implementation is after you implement the system, what are the user feedback? All right, only after you implement the system, you can get the user feedback, right? And also, their continuous maintenance, all right? Do you need upgrade, all right? Do you need to add in some additional features? These are the basic flow over here. So go back to this one, all right? SDLC itself, all right? In developing a system, all right, there are multiple frameworks. One of it is SDLC, as I stated earlier. We have another, I think 2 more framework, which is Agile and Rapid RAD, I forgot that word. But basically, that works on develop the system straight away and send it out as for the user to test and then keep on updating from time to time instead of going through this hustle over here. All right? But in the context of AIS, in this context where you need to evaluate whether you should sell or not, build or not build, that's wrong, right? Whether you should evaluate to proceed or not to proceed, all right? To implement new system or not, or to evaluate the new system, or to re-engineer your business process, you can follow these steps over here. And over here, I like to highlight that the build and not build, right? That actually triggered my mind over here, all right? Over here, what I did is, in between this stage, after you analyze your current state of the system, before we proceed to system design, all right, I actually add in one more chapter over here, which is to build versus to buy. Over here, why do I put that inside there? The answer is very simple, because your learning objective. Your learning objective particularly highlight that you need to know whether you should buy or build, and this is in between here, right? Before you can design. If you go into system design, means you buy, is it? If you go into system design, means you buy. You build, right? But it can be you buy, but you customize the system. Also possible, all right? That's the way that you have to answer in your exam. It's very tricky, all right? In a way that it challenges you to define what you want to express, all right? It's not just straight away from the book, all right? If you just answer straight away from the textbook, answer is accepted. However, you will not get the distinction grade, which is the A. Maybe you can reach A, 80 marks, but just at that point of 80 marks, you understand? So there's chance that you'll be A minus. The max cap of the marks that you can go, that's what I'm trying to say. But don't worry about that, about the marks and about all of that. All right, what you need to worry is that your answer is expressing the full comprehensiveness and shows that you are critical enough. Okay, that's it for this.